Jace woke up to the soft hum of the city outside his window. The sun was barely rising over the tall silver towers, casting a pale glow over the streets. He rubbed his eyes and pulled on his worn jacket. Another day at school, he thought, another day helping Lyra. He knew it was not easy for her. Lyra, the quiet alien girl in his class, could not walk like the others. Her small legs shook whenever she tried, and her special braces only helped a little. Jace stepped outside and saw the streets beginning to fill with people. Flying cars zoomed overhead, leaving colorful trails in the sky. The colony city was alive, but for Jace, it was always about one thing first: helping Lyra get to school safely. Lyra lived in a small house at the edge of the city. When Jace reached her door, she was waiting, sitting on her hover chair. Her blue skin shone softly in the morning light, and her large violet eyes looked sleepy but curious. She smiled when she saw him. "Good morning, Jace," she said softly. Her voice was musical but quiet, almost like a whisper. "Morning, Lyra," Jace said with a grin. "Ready to go?" Lyra nodded. She held out her small hands and Jace gently lifted her into his arms. He had done this so many times that it felt natural. Other kids stared as he walked out, carrying her carefully through the busy streets. Some whispered and laughed, but Jace did not mind. He only cared about Lyra. "Why do you help me every day?" Lyra asked, her voice curious. Jace shrugged. "Because it's the right thing to do. You shouldn't have to struggle alone." Lyra looked at him quietly. She did not have many friends at school. Most of the students avoided her, or worse, teased her for being different. But Jace never did. He treated her like a person, not like someone to pity. The streets grew busier as they approached the school. Small hover buses carried students of all species, and flying pets darted through the air. Jace carefully stepped around them, making sure Lyra was safe. As they reached the school gates, some children laughed at them. "Look, it's the human boy and the weak alien girl," one shouted. Others snickered. Jace ignored them, holding Lyra close. "Don't worry," he whispered. "We'll get through this." Lyra nodded, gripping his shoulder lightly. She felt safe with him. For the first time, school did not feel so scary. Inside the school, things were not much better. The classrooms were full of advanced technology, floating desks, holographic teachers, and interactive screens. But none of it helped the students who struggled like Lyra. She slowly made her way to her desk with Jace's help. He put her down gently, adjusted her braces, and smiled. "You ready?" he asked. Lyra nodded. She liked being with him. He never made her feel weak or different. Today she even tried to smile at a few classmates, though most of them ignored her. During lessons, Jace watched her closely. She struggled to keep up with some of the holographic exercises, but she had a sharp mind. She could solve problems quickly if she focused. Jace quietly helped her, whispering answers or guiding her hand when needed. She looked at him with gratitude each time. At lunch, Jace shared his food with her. She had never been able to carry her tray easily, and the other students never offered help. Together they ate quietly, talking softly about small things, books, stories, and the city outside. Lyra told him she loved the stars, the way they twinkled in the sky at night. Jace listened, fascinated by her knowledge. "You have a lot of courage, Lyra," he said gently. She shook her head. "No, you do. You carry me every day. That takes courage too." He smiled. "It's nothing. It's just, humans do what they must." After lunch, they walked to the playground for a short break. Lyra watched the other children play, her eyes distant. Jace noticed. "What is it?" he asked. Lyra hesitated. "I sometimes wish I could just run and play like them. I want to feel normal even for a little while." Jace put a hand on her shoulder. "You're normal. You're amazing just the way you are. I'll always be here for you." The bell rang and they returned to class. The rest of the day passed with lessons, small challenges, and quiet moments of friendship. When school ended, Jace lifted Lyra again, and they walked home under the soft glow of the setting sun. As they reached her door, Lyra looked at him. "Thank you, Jace. For everything." He smiled. "Anytime. See you tomorrow?" "Tomorrow," she said softly. Jace watched her enter her home, safe and happy. Then he turned back to the streets, thinking about the day ahead. Somewhere in the vast city, life went on, but for Jace, the most important thing was the small moments, carrying a friend, sharing a laugh, and showing kindness when no one else would. And as he walked home alone, he did not notice the small, faint shimmer in the sky above, a fleet of stars moving silently, watching. The next morning, Jace woke up feeling the same as always, ready to help Lyra. The city outside his window was already alive with motion, hovercars zooming through the air, streetlights glowing softly, and the hum of machines filling the streets. He quickly got dressed and ran to Lyra's house. Lyra was waiting outside on her hover chair, her violet eyes wide with curiosity. She smiled when she saw him. "Morning, Jace," she said softly. "Morning, Lyra," Jace replied. "Ready for another day?" Lyra nodded. Jace carefully lifted her into his arms, and they began their walk to school. As they passed the crowded streets, some students whispered and pointed. But Jace ignored them, focusing on keeping Lyra safe. She was his responsibility, and he did not care what anyone thought. As they walked, Lyra's small hands held tightly onto Jace's shoulders. Today she seemed quieter than usual, her gaze wandering up to the sky. The city above was filled with floating advertisements and flying ships, but she looked past them, her eyes searching for something far beyond. "What are you looking at?" Jace asked, curious. Lyra hesitated. I sometimes see things in the sky. Things that move too fast for normal eyes." Jace raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" She smiled faintly. "I don't know. Just messages. I see them sometimes but I can't read them all. They disappear too quickly." Jace thought about it but did not ask more. He had learned long ago not to pry too much. Some things were private, and Lyra trusted him enough to share only what she wanted. When they reached the school gates, the usual teasing began. "Look, the human boy and the weak alien girl," a boy shouted. Others laughed, pointing at Lyra's braces. Jace tightened his hold, shielding her from their words. Ignoring them, he carried Lyra inside. The hallways were bright, filled with floating screens and holographic signs. Students of all species rushed past them, some bumping into Jace, but he moved carefully, making sure Lyra remained comfortable. In class, the lesson started with a holographic projection of the solar system. The teacher, a tall alien with shimmering green skin, spoke in a clear, melodic voice. Lyra tried to focus, but her attention kept drifting to a small device on her wrist. Tiny lights flashed in a pattern only she could see. Jace noticed it and leaned slightly. "Another message?" he whispered. Lyra shook her head. "Just a hint. I can't understand it fully yet." The other students did not notice. They were busy with their own work, playing with floating pens and interactive screens. Jace admired Lyra's mind. Even if her body struggled, her intelligence was sharp and fast. He quietly helped her with calculations, pointing to numbers and drawing small diagrams. At lunch they sat together in a quiet corner. Jace had packed extra food, knowing Lyra sometimes struggled to eat alone. She smiled as he handed her a piece of bread. "You're always so kind," she said softly. Jace shrugged. "It's nothing. Humans do what they should. You don't have to be alone." Lyra's eyes sparkled. She had never had someone like Jace before, someone who treated her equally, who did not pity her, who actually cared. It made her heart feel light, even though her body remained weak. After lunch, Lyra pointed to the sky. "Look." Jace followed her gaze. High above, beyond the city's towers, small glowing ships moved silently. They shimmered in colors he had never seen before. Then, as quickly as they appeared, they vanished, leaving only a faint trail of starlight. "What was that?" he asked, amazed. Lyra shook her head. "I don't know. I see them sometimes. They are messages, from somewhere far away." Jace felt a shiver run down his spine. He had always known there was more to Lyra than met the eye. But seeing it, even for a moment, made him realize just how special she really was. The afternoon passed slowly. Lessons continued, but Jace noticed Lyra was distracted. She kept glancing at her wrist, at the sky, and at the walls. Something was happening, something she could not yet explain. Finally the bell rang. Jace lifted her carefully into his arms. On the way home they walked past the market streets, where vendors shouted and sold strange alien foods. Children played with robotic pets and some looked at Lyra with curiosity. But she ignored them, lost in thought. "Do you think my mother knows?" she asked quietly. Jace frowned. "Knows what?" She did not answer, staring at the horizon. The sky was turning soft pink and orange as the sun began to set. Somewhere out there, in the vast galaxy, there were forces far greater than they could imagine. Lyra's secret was big, bigger than any human or alien could fully understand. Jace carried her past the city gates. She sighed, resting her head on his shoulder. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" he asked, smiling. "For seeing me as I am, and not as everyone else sees me." Jace said nothing, only continued walking. The streets grew quieter as night fell. Above them, stars began to appear. Some shimmered brighter than others, and for a moment, it felt as if the whole galaxy was watching. Lyra looked up at the stars, her small fingers tightening around Jace's arm. "One day I hope I can reach them," she said softly. Jace smiled. "Then we'll reach them together." As they reached her house, he put her down gently. She waved goodbye, her eyes still shining with thoughts of distant worlds. Jace watched her enter safely, then turned to leave. Unseen, far above the city, a massive shadow passed silently through the stars. A fleet of ships, larger than anything he could imagine, moved slowly across the sky. They did not touch the planet, but for Lyra, they were a reminder that her life was connected to something far bigger than their small city. And for Jace, he could only feel that one day, everything he knew about the universe was about to change. The next day felt different to Jace. There was a quiet tension in the air as he left his home and ran toward Lyra's house. The city streets were busy as usual, but his mind was full of questions. For weeks, he had noticed strange things about Lyra: flashes of light from her wrist device, her secretive glances at the sky, and the way she sometimes seemed lost in thoughts far beyond their city. Lyra was waiting outside as always in her hover chair. Her violet eyes looked a little worried, but she smiled softly when she saw Jace. "Morning, Jace," she said quietly. "Morning, Lyra," he replied. "You seem different today. Is everything okay?" Lyra hesitated. She did not often speak about her family or her past. Most people assumed she was just a quiet, disabled alien girl. But Jace had proven he could be trusted. Slowly she nodded. I have to go somewhere today. A place I've never been before." Jace frowned. "Where? Can I come with you?" She shook her head. "Not this time. It's private." Jace felt a flicker of worry but did not push. "Okay. I'll wait for you when you come back." The day passed slowly at school. Jace watched Lyra carefully. She seemed distracted, her attention drifting to the messages on her wrist device. At one point, she excused herself quietly and left the room. Jace followed at a distance, curious and concerned. She led him down narrow corridors, through doors that were usually locked to students. Finally, they reached a small chamber hidden behind a wall panel. Inside, a holographic projection filled the room. It was tall and bright, showing a woman in flowing robes with an aura of power that made the room feel smaller by comparison. Lyra looked at the hologram and whispered, "Mother?" Jace stepped back, stunned. "Mother?" he asked, his voice barely audible. Lyra nodded. She is the ruler of a galactic empire. The entire galaxy listens to her. She controls fleets of ships, colonies, and powerful technologies. But I am hidden here to be safe." Jace's mind raced. He had always suspected Lyra was different, special, but he had never imagined this. Your mother is the ruler of the galaxy?" "Yes," Lyra said softly. "That is why I must hide my identity. Most people cannot know. It is dangerous if they do." She looked down, her fingers fidgeting with the straps of her hover chair. "I wanted a normal life, Jace. A life where someone treats me like a person, not like a ruler's child. And you gave me that." Jace felt a surge of emotion. He had never expected to be part of something so huge, so powerful. But at the same time he felt no fear. "You don't have to explain anything else. I'll always be here for you. No matter what." Lyra looked at him with gratitude, her violet eyes glistening. "I trust you, Jace. More than anyone else in the galaxy." Suddenly, the hologram flickered and showed a map of distant stars and planets. Tiny ships moved across it, some glowing brighter than others. Lyra's mother spoke, though her voice was calm and distant. "Lyra, your safety is important. Stay hidden. Trust only those who care for you." Lyra nodded and looked at Jace. "I have never told anyone this, but now I had to. You are special, Jace. Human courage is unlike anything in the galaxy. You see me as I am, not as a symbol, not as power. That is rare." Jace smiled. "I don't care about fleets or galaxies. I care about you, Lyra." The two of them stayed in the hidden room for a few more minutes. Lyra showed him some of her wrist device messages, encrypted signals, star coordinates, and warnings from faraway systems. Jace could not understand most of it, but he could see the weight of responsibility on her small shoulders. When it was time to leave, Lyra's face was serious. "Jace, you must promise me one thing. Don't tell anyone about this. Not a single person. If they find out, it could put you in danger too." "I promise," Jace said without hesitation. She smiled faintly. "Good. Now, back to school. No one can know. We have to act normal." They returned to the classroom, carefully hiding their secret. Lyra sat quietly, her head down, while Jace kept watch. The other students noticed nothing. To them, everything seemed ordinary. But Jace knew better. He now carried a secret larger than any city or colony, a secret that connected him to the far reaches of the galaxy. During lunch, Lyra leaned slightly toward him and whispered, "Thank you for being my friend, Jace. You are braver than anyone in this city. And, maybe even braver than the galaxy itself." Jace felt a warmth in his chest. He had never thought of himself as brave. He had just done what was right. But hearing Lyra say it, it made him feel stronger than ever. After school, he lifted her into his arms again, walking through the streets with a new sense of purpose. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Lyra looked out at the horizon, thoughtful. "Do you think things will ever be normal for me?" she asked softly. Jace shook his head gently. "Maybe not. But normal doesn't matter. What matters is that we face it together." Lyra smiled, and for a moment the weight of the galaxy seemed lighter. As they reached her house, a faint shimmer appeared in the sky, tiny lights moving silently across the stars. Lyra glanced at it, but she did not speak. Jace looked up too, sensing something vast and unknown. He did not know it yet, but this day had changed everything. From now on, their lives would be connected to the galaxy in ways neither of them could imagine. And Jace, the human boy who carried a disabled alien girl every day, would soon face challenges far bigger than he had ever dreamed. The morning sun rose over the city, painting the tall silver towers with a soft golden light. Jace woke quickly, feeling an unusual tension in the air. Today something felt different. He ran toward Lyra's house as he did every day, ready to carry her to school. Lyra was waiting outside in her hover chair, her violet eyes filled with worry. "Jace," she began softly. "Today, I might need your help more than usual." Jace frowned. "What is it? Are you in danger?" Lyra shook her head slowly. "Not exactly danger, but my mother's people might come looking for me today. They check on me sometimes to make sure I am safe. They are very powerful and I cannot handle them alone." Jace felt a spark of fear, but it was quickly replaced with determination. "Then I'll help you. Whatever happens, I won't leave your side." Lyra smiled faintly. "Thank you, Jace. You are very brave." He lifted her carefully into his arms as he had done countless times. The streets of the city were bustling with activity, but today they seemed different. Shadows felt longer, and the usual chatter of children and vendors sounded distant. Jace kept a firm grip on Lyra, his eyes scanning every corner, every alley. As they approached the school, a strange sound filled the air. A soft hum, almost like the vibration of a giant engine, grew louder. Jace looked up and froze. Several massive ships hovered above the city, silent and dark, their shadows stretching across the streets. Lyra gasped quietly. "They are here." Jace's heart pounded. He had seen glimpses of her mother's fleet before, distant and untouchable, but now they were here, above the school. He looked at Lyra. "Stay close to me. I will protect you." The doors of the school opened and a team of alien enforcers entered. They were tall, armored, and moved with precision. Their glowing eyes scanned the students, searching for Lyra. Most of the children froze in fear, but Jace did not falter. He tightened his hold on her. "Move away from her," one of the enforcers commanded, his voice cold and metallic. Jace stepped forward, holding Lyra in front of him. "She is coming with me," he said firmly. The enforcers hesitated. No human had ever spoken to them like that. They were trained to obey orders without question, and yet here was a small human boy defying them. Lyra whispered, "Jace, you don't have to do this. You could get hurt." He shook his head. "I don't care. I'm not leaving you." The enforcers lunged forward, but Jace acted quickly. He ducked, rolled, and used his small size and speed to his advantage. Lyra clung to him as he dodged. One of the enforcers swung a metal staff, but Jace blocked it with a table, surprising everyone. The students watched in awe as the human boy moved with determination and courage. Finally, Jace found a narrow exit at the back of the school. He sprinted toward it, keeping Lyra safe in his arms. The enforcers followed, but the narrow alleys worked to his advantage. He turned corners sharply, ducked behind crates, and used his knowledge of the city streets to escape. They reached a quiet park, hidden from the view of the enforcers. Jace gently set Lyra down. "We made it, for now," he said, breathing hard. Lyra looked at him with wide eyes. "Jace, you are amazing. No one has ever stood up to them like that. You are brave beyond belief." He shrugged, a small smile on his face. "I'm just doing what's right." Lyra touched his arm gently. "Humans, you are special. Even my mother, who controls the entire galaxy, does not understand courage like yours." You face fear and danger without thinking of yourself. That is something powerful. Jace felt a warmth in his chest. He had never thought of himself as special. He had only acted because it was right. But hearing Lyra say it, it gave him a strange sense of pride. They sat together on a bench as the sun began to set, painting the sky with orange and purple streaks. The distant hum of the fleet above reminded them both of the larger world beyond the city. Lyra looked at Jace and whispered, "I think the galaxy will never see humans the way I do. You are unique. Brave, kind, and unstoppable in ways no one else is." Jace laughed softly. "I'm not unstoppable. I'm just human." Lyra smiled. "No. That is what makes you unstoppable. Humans are different, special. You see the world in ways others cannot. You fight not for power but for what is right. That is rare in the galaxy." As night fell, Jace lifted her again, walking carefully back toward her house. The city was quiet now, the streets empty, but the stars above were bright. The fleet of ships lingered in the distance, watching, but Jace did not look up. His focus was on Lyra, on keeping her safe. When they reached her door, she looked at him with gratitude. "Thank you, Jace. Today, you saved me." He smiled softly. "We saved each other, Lyra." She nodded. "Tomorrow, who knows what will happen. But I know one thing. I want you by my side." Jace set her down gently. "Always," he said. As he walked away, the stars above shimmered faintly. Somewhere in the vast galaxy, forces far greater than either of them were watching. But for now, in this small city, a human boy had shown that courage, kindness, and loyalty could stand against the most powerful beings in the universe. And Lyra, the alien girl who had always felt weak, realized that with Jace by her side, she could face anything. The next morning, Jace woke early as usual, but the city felt different. The air was filled with tension, almost as if the entire world knew something was about to happen. He ran toward Lyra's house, his heart pounding. Today he did not just carry her to school. Today he felt a change in the air, a presence he could not explain. Lyra was waiting outside in her hoverchair. Her violet eyes were wide and serious. "Jace, today my mother is coming. She wants to meet you." Jace froze. "Meet me? Why me?" Lyra hesitated. "Because you helped me. You stood by me when no one else did. My mother wants to see the human who showed courage, who treated her daughter like a person." Jace's stomach twisted with nerves. He had faced enforcers, teasing classmates, and even the unknown dangers of the city, but this was different. This was someone who ruled the galaxy. "I'll be fine," he said, trying to sound brave. "Let's go." He lifted Lyra gently into his arms and they walked through the streets. The city seemed to hold its breath. People paused and stared, sensing the unusual presence overhead. In the sky, a fleet of massive ships glimmered, silent but unmistakably powerful. Jace kept his focus on Lyra, feeling her small hands grip his shoulders. When they arrived at a secluded platform on the edge of the city, the largest ship descended. Its surface shone like polished silver, and an opening appeared, revealing a chamber filled with light. From the center emerged Lyra's mother. She was taller than any human, with flowing robes that seemed to shift with the light. Her eyes glowed faintly, commanding attention without a word. Lyra set herself down, her hoverchair softly touching the platform. She stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Mother, this is Jace." The woman looked at Jace with an intensity he had never felt before. She studied him, her glowing eyes scanning every detail. Jace felt his knees tremble, but he stood tall. He met her gaze, holding it with calm determination. "My daughter speaks highly of you," she said finally, her voice clear and strong. "You carried her when others would not. You protected her when others feared. You acted with courage that even I, who command fleets across the stars, admire." Jace swallowed. I just did what was right. She is my friend." The woman's eyes softened slightly. "That is what amazes me about humans. You fight not for power or glory but because it is right. You risk your life for others without expectation. That is something rare in the galaxy. That is strength I cannot command, only witness." Lyra looked at Jace, tears welling in her eyes. "I told you, humans are different. They have courage in their hearts, stronger than any technology or fleet." The woman stepped closer to Jace. "I wanted to meet you because I wanted to see this human spirit for myself. You have proven that heroism is not measured by rank, power, or weapons. It is measured by kindness, loyalty, and courage." Jace felt a warmth in his chest. All the teasing, all the challenges, all the moments of fear, it had led to this. He had never thought of himself as special, but standing here, facing the ruler of the galaxy, he understood that humans had something unique. Something no one else could give. Lyra's mother turned to her daughter. You chose well, Lyra. This human boy has shown the world what true bravery is. And now, the galaxy will see humans differently. You have brought me something I never expected, a lesson in courage. Lyra smiled faintly at Jace. You see? You've changed everything without even knowing it. Jace looked at the sky, at the massive ships above, and then back at Lyra and her mother. I never wanted to change the galaxy, he said softly. I just wanted to help my friend. The woman nodded. And that, Jace, is why humans are special. Your choices, your loyalty, your courage, they are unmatched. The galaxy can have fleets, empires, and rulers, but humans, you have hearts that can move stars themselves. Lyra stepped closer and whispered, Thank you, Jace. For everything. You showed me that being human is the greatest power of all. Jace smiled, a simple smile, but it held more than words could say. He had carried her, protected her, and now he had shown the galaxy the strength of humanity. The sun began to set, painting the sky with gold and purple. The fleet slowly retreated into space, leaving the city quiet again. Lyra and Jace walked home together, the stars above sparkling like distant lights cheering them on. For the first time, Lyra felt truly safe. And for the first time, Jace understood what it meant to be a human in a universe full of power, secrets, and fear. Humans were small, fragile, and often underestimated, but their hearts could face anything. As they reached her home, Jace set Lyra down gently. She looked at him with a soft smile, her violet eyes shining. Tomorrow, we will face the world as usual, she said. Jace laughed softly. Yes. But I know now, even if the galaxy watches us, we will be okay. Together. And somewhere far above, in the vast reaches of space, the stars seemed to shimmer brighter. They were not just lights in the sky, they were witnesses to the courage of a human boy, the loyalty of a friend, and the unseen strength that could change the galaxy forever. The story of Jace and Lyra had begun as a simple act of kindness. But it ended as a proof that even in a galaxy of empires and fleets, the human heart remained the most powerful force of all.